Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is gonna be a bit of a different video today because today I actually wanted to talk about something that I haven't been talking about, but it's going to be in probably the next set of videos. I don't know, I'll probably get some ASMRs out in between this because it is gonna be about a week and a half before this. But I wanted to make this video today specifically because of today's date. Now, today's date is October 4th, and if you guys didn't know, 10 years ago today, Steve Jobs passed away. And I wanted to just kind of make this video in his memory. I don't know if anyone has done a 10th anniversary video of the passing of Steve Jobs. I also don't know what this lighting has decided to do. I didn't necessarily feel like putting my phone on the ring light because there's actually a lot of stuff on my desk at the current moment, and I didn't necessarily feel like moving it. So, I'm just working with this lighting right now, and we will have better lighting in the videos to come, just not right now because I was lazy. But I was going to make this in about a couple weeks because, I actually got something the thing that inspired this was I actually got something in the mail today, which I can't show you yet because it's part of a bigger surprise that is coming, like I said, in about a week and a half. But what I really did want to talk about today is my experience from going from strictly Android and Windows to becoming a dual user. So, I'm not only going to be talking about this from an Android to Apple standpoint, I'm also going to be talking about this from an accessibility standpoint. If you guys didn't know, I'm actually visually impaired, so I use a lot of the accessibility features, and I really want to go through and compare them in this video. This is going to be my, after 2 years of being a dual Apple user, my thoughts and feelings. So, let me just first off start by honestly saying that being a dual user has been the most fun but frustrating experience in the world, and I'm going to get into why that is in a second, but I really just want to talk about Apple. I was a little nervous to start with because I had never been part of the Apple ecosystem before. I had actually gotten several opportunities in my life to use Apple devices, but I squandered each and every one of them because all of my family were PC users. I had a PC which I was just kind of barely starting to learn how to use. It was the Microsoft Surface Pro. I've had that for 2 years now, and actually as long as I've had my iPad Pro. Actually, I've had, not my iPad Pro, I don't have an iPad Pro, my partner has the iPad Pro, but because everybody compares the Surface Pro to the iPad Pro, I find myself saying iPad Pro a lot when I don't even have one. I have an iPad 5th generation, and I actually got the Surface Pro after I got my iPad 5th generation. So before my Surface Pro, I had honestly only ever used PCs with great amounts of assistance from either school paraprofessionals or from people like my grandmother. However, when it came to using the Microsoft Surface Pro, because of its adaptability, I'm actually able to use it fairly well now, and it is the device that taught me Windows 10. And this phone, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, is what really taught me about the uses of a phone and what you can do with them. Actually, my first start off with technology like this was with the Samsung Note 3. I really started to learn what technology could do, and then I got a Samsung J7, which actually had less features than my Note 3, and then I finally went Note series in 2019 with the 10 Note 10 again. So I had been a loyal Samsung user for a long time. In fact, I was getting my Note 10 around the same time as I got the iPad. Luckily, I had gotten my phone, I do believe, yeah, I got my phone a little bit before I got my iPad. So I was loyal Samsung for a while. I loved my phone. My family was loyal Samsung for a really long time. Still are, although I am swinging one of them, and that is my grandmother, and I'm going to get into why in a minute. When I got my iPad, I was very shaky the first couple of weeks, to be honest. It took a little while to get used to, and thankfully I had my beloved partner with me throughout the entire steps. But I would say that if you do not have someone who knows Apple being there beside you to guide you through the switching process, it would be a tremendously good idea for you to look up any tutorials you can find, be it via articles online or YouTube videos, because had I not have had my partner telling me what to do, I would have been completely lost. Once I got into the Apple experience, I decided how much I absolutely loved it. I loved the fact that Files was like almost a computer type storage system where I could store anything like Pages documents, and I could easily find them in emails and send them so freaking quickly. Another thing I really loved was Pages itself, because it is almost as versatile as Microsoft Word with a way easier system UI. And I'm not just saying that, like, I used Pages for the majority of my college assignments while I was still. In fact, I used Pages for all my college assignments. It was only my first semester of college that I really was using Microsoft Word. And to be very honest with you, I personally prefer Pages because even on the Mac, its user interface actually seems a lot less complicated than Microsoft. I almost said Surface, Microsoft Word. In fact, everything on Apple feels a lot less complicated. Everything on Apple almost feels like a smoother slate. It feels like a really smooth white piece of marble as opposed to a PC, which kind of looks like a gem with a whole lot of facets to it, like a diamond or rose quartz. My point that I'm trying to make with these Steven Universe style comparisons that I didn't even realize I was doing is that everything on Apple just seemed like it was this blank slate. Towards the end of my first semester of college and the first 6 months of having my beautiful Generation 5 reconditioned iPad was that I really wanted to employ the use of it more. It had dictation on it, which meant I didn't have to type on a physical keyboard if I didn't want to, and it also meant that I could easily get assignments out much faster. It would mean that the editing process would take a lot of time, but writing a college assignment and editing it in dictation is nowhere near as difficult as trying to edit a Transformers Prime fanfiction, because obviously, the iPads aren't G1 fans, and they sometimes put asterisk scream instead of star scream. But regardless of that, if you read any fan fiction that does that, that's recent on like AO3 or Wattpad, it's probably mine. Alright, look, the point is that I'm trying to make is that once I started employing the use of the iPad more, I really honestly started using it more than my phone for professional things. I would use my phone for making little videos like this one right now, which I'm recording, and I would use it for watching YouTube videos or looking things up over on Google. However, that changed in October of last year when my partner gifted me my iPod Generation 7. This is when I started to really take advantage of the way Files worked and also iCloud. I really got to take advantage of iCloud. I pay for a 200 gigabyte storage plan because as much as my iPod has 256 gigabytes, it is a much smaller screen, and for me as a visually impaired user, I honestly wouldn't recommend an iPod unless you are gonna plan on using VoiceOver a lot, but that is honestly a different video entirely. But getting the idea of the Apple ecosystem and how it connects in my head really was a game changer for me. I could do one thing on the iPad as far as photos. I could save an image in Google, and then in minutes it would be ready in the photo library of the iPod, which was perfect if I wanted to do much larger videos. Although surprisingly, Transformers Prime You Are a Decepticon, which was an ASMR I did 2 years ago. Wow, was that really 2 years ago? Or was it 1 year ago? I think it was 2 years ago, actually. Yeah, I think it was. the point is that ASMR was actually done on the 32 gigabyte iPad, and it did surprisingly well considering how long and how large the file was. The file was, I think, about 1.5 gigabytes, and the entire total time of the ASMR, once I did all the edits in iMovie, turned into about a 48-minute video, and that was done on my 32 gigabyte iPad. Point is that I really loved Apple's versatility. I felt like every app that I got for it was designed to work. I feel like apps that have bugs are not treated as well by Apple. You want your app to work when it comes to Apple. Apple wants to make sure that not only is your privacy protected, but they also want to make sure that your device is protected and the app is not going to bug out your device. I know for a fact that Amino used to make my iPod and my partner's iPhone extremely hot, but over the months they have actually fixed this problem, and now it doesn't do that anymore. I don't know what they did to make it not do that, but I think the primes that they did. My point is that after 2 years of Apple, I could honestly never go back. In fact, I wasn't going to make this video until a certain surprise came that I'm going to be doing a video on. However, the reason I wanted to make this video was, of course, in memory of Steve Jobs, but also because Apple actually saved the day of my father. And that is a long kind of personal story, but the point is that my partner and Pages on her Mac actually saved my father, and when she sent me the message of the document that we needed, I was actually able to save it in Pages and then thus email it directly to my father. It was a really great setup, and I really love the Apple ecosystem for that. Everything is so easily accessible. I feel like when you tap on an iPad or an iPod, when you open it up, there are so many apps, there are so many possibilities. It really does, in fact, feel as if you're touching the world, and I could not be any more appreciative of everything that's been done to make this possible. So, why have I been frustrated? I've talked nothing but good things about Apple. Well, my frustration simply comes from the fact that I wish I could go all the way. Right now, my main computer is a Microsoft Surface Pro that I basically only play Baldi's Basics Plus and The Sims 4 on. I don't really do much else with it because I don't really feel like it. In fact, I deleted the entire Microsoft suite off of my Surface Pro because I wanted to be able to have more storage space because the Microsoft suite takes up a lot of space. I feel like when you go Apple, you don't really need the Microsoft suite for it to work. In fact, Apple comes with its own set of standards. You get Pages for Mac. You get iMovie, which Windows Movie Maker, its equivalent, is no longer even available unless you pay for something like Premiere Pro, which is the Windows equivalent of Final Cut Pro. Although I hear you can also get that for Mac, but Final Cut Pro just seems better because, of course, it's made by Apple. Everything that you do is made by Apple, and I love it. But the problem I suffer with Windows and Android is that things are made by third-party apps. In fact, getting updates on Android is nearly impossible. From iPad to iPhone, the iOSs released very shortly after each other. In fact, when the iPhone got iOS 14, it was only a couple of short days until the iPad received iOS 14. And this year, they received them on the exact same day. However, my phone, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, received Android 11 in February of 2020, and my partner's tablet, a Samsung Galaxy Tab A10, I believe that is the correct name for it. The point is that she did not receive Android 11 until the following June, 6 months after the release of my phone update. And here is the real kicker as to what kind of bothers me about Android updates, is the fact that my carrier is the one responsible for delivering the update. It literally will tell me T-Mobile software update instead of Samsung software update, Whereas Apple, if you haven't updated your device in a while and you didn't even know there was an update, it will put a gentle reminder in your notification center that, hey, there's an update. You might want to go change that. And it will. It'll update it, absolutely. You can even turn automatic updates on, which I don't see an option for on an Android device. My biggest issue is that I wish I could go full on. If I had an iPhone, which is a much bigger screen than the iPod Touch, I feel like I would be able to do so much more. I feel like if I had two Apple devices going at the same time, I feel like it would be a much more versatile and wonderful experience. I don't believe I'm in a position where I need a MacBook yet, or any type of Mac yet, especially after the video I'm going to make, which is dependent upon when a certain something gets here. But the point is that my Apple experience has been entirely fine with just these two devices, but getting things from my phone to the Apple devices or vice versa is a complete pain in the literal butt. If I want to get a screenshot that I took with my phone to my partner, rather than using iMessage, which is a much better system, we end up either using Skype or Discord. Discord's messaging system is a lot better, but it is not foolproof because unlike in Skype, in Discord you cannot send audio messages, and for me, being someone who's visually impaired, this just completely blows it out of the water. I really do wish that Discord could send audio messages. That's the only thing it needs to make it the perfect app for my partner and myself. Now, I just personally don't like the fact that we have to use Skype, period, but I'm okay with using Skype. I mean, I'm okay with that. My biggest problem, though, is the fact that pictures that aren't super necessary kind of clog up our Skype. If I need to send a picture to myself from the iPad to get it on my phone, because my phone has much more storage space than the iPad, I can't just wait for iCloud to back it up, because Apple and Android have not solved their little war for Cybertron, and so there is no real platform for dual usage on both devices. How nice would it be if you could turn on iCloud and have like an iCloud backup app on your Android phone? How cool would it be if you could have files on your Android phone so that you could be a dual user? I know that it's not really designed to be a dual user because Samsung is in fact Apple's biggest competition, but in order to be a full dual user, you have to have something like Google Drive or Dropbox, which are additional subscription services that you have to pay to get enough storage to do anything that you really want to do. Google Drive space storage is only 15 gigabytes, and I think Dropbox used to only give you like 2. I don't know if that's been upgraded because I have not used Dropbox in years. Personally, I think that's the old person's way of doing things. Even when it comes to sending emails, Apple and Android are fundamentally different because, unlike Android, which will tell you that a file is just too large and it can't send it, Apple has a lovely little thing called MailDrop, whereupon if it sends a file, it will take the file, make it encrypted on Apple's cloud, and send it through a little tube that way. When it comes to getting it on an Apple device, it's simply as if you sent an email, and if it comes to getting it on an Android device, it will take you to a link where you can immediately download said file. It is super simple with Apple, but with Android, if a file is too long, say for example an audio file that I did with my friend a little while ago, one has to actually make that audio file into a video and put that up on YouTube, for example, or possibly put it in like Google Drive or Dropbox, which is absolutely ridiculous. Couldn't Samsung do something similar with their cloud? But they don't. Another thing that kind of really bothers me is the security issues. Google has started to show some true colors about security issues, and I know a lot of PC users say that Apple is just as bad, if not worse. I will tell you 100% for a fact that that is absolutely not true. Safari's Safari, which is Apple's flagship browser, requires websites to comply with sort of a tell-all policy, meaning that when you open a new website, or even if you open a website again that you haven't used in a while, they will literally tell you that we use cookies. It is an extra pop-up that you have to clear, but it's really nice to know that websites are telling you that yes, we do have an ad policy, instead of just all of a sudden you open a website and all these ads kind of come in. In fact, Safari is really good at blocking ads, although I must say Chrome is good too. In fact, I do have Chrome on my iPad for when I do want to upload those videos where I want to put end cards in. However, it is nowhere near as good as Safari. In fact, Safari is fundamentally a little better than Chrome because it is so freaking fast. Like, Safari's refresh rate and the amount of time that it takes to load is significantly speedier than that of Chrome on both my phone and my iPad. It is a magnificent browser and I love it so. However, whenever I'm doing anything Google related, we all know that Google sells your information, because when you go to a restaurant and you come out of there, you literally will get in the car and it will say, how was your time at Village Inn, for example? Yeah, I don't need Google to know that I'm going to Village Inn. Yes, I get that they're just trying to have ad campaigns and sales. However, it really is not anyone's business that I went to Village Inn. I don't know. I used to be really fond of technology, like, can track you, and it's a good thing because you won't get lost, because my grandmother has a habit of running off on us and not telling anyone, but that's an entirely different story. But now that I know how much Google can just know, and thus, if anyone were to hack Google, how unbelievably bad that would be. I'm sure Google has its own security, like, policies, but I feel like they're nowhere near as tight-knit as Apple, and this is so fundamentally true within Mac versus PC. With Mac versus PC, and this isn't just with anything, this is with anything. With PC, everything is done by third-party apps. There's so many fingers in the pie, and a lot of them aren't even made here in the US. I'm not trying to sound like a Trumper, but with Apple, everything is made in California, and everything is done by them. Even their new chips that power their devices, such as the iPads and the MacBooks, they are now created on site. They do not use Intel Core processors anymore. They all use the new Apple Silicon and M1 chips, which are amazing. And I've never actually had the personal opportunity to work with one because I'm still operating on an iPad from 2017. However, from what I've heard is that Apple's chips are amazing, and because we're using Apple chips, we now know that Apple has a handle on everything and thus has security over everything. This is especially true with Mac and PC, as I was trying to get back to, because we all know the one feature about Macs that everyone loves and that my school always loved is that Macs do not get viruses. They don't. They just don't. PCs are sadly well known to get viruses, and they are very well known to crash on you without any warning and without you even realizing that you have a virus. If you want virus protection, you have to pay, for example, $360 for a 3-year subscription to something like Bitdefender. However, when it comes to Mac, you don't need to do that because everything you do is protected. It's like folded into a secure little blanket that of the Apple, like, confidence that we protect our own. We protect our devices. We make our devices. Whereas with Samsung, especially, because they're my main comparison here, everything is made not in the US as far as I know. They are not a company that is based in the US, and I'm not trying to say that that is a bad thing. I know some of my longtime viewers will agree that it probably is, but at least for me, Samsung just is starting to look like not the best option for some people if they want full privacy and security. One thing that used to annoy my grandmother and I so much back when we were just using iTunes on PCs was how secure Apple was, and if you forgot your Apple ID, what a problem it was to restore it. However, now I realize that it It's honestly just for your protection. And I feel like Apple really, really, really cares about everything that you want to do. Even when you watch their commercials, if you watch an iPad commercial, say, for example, compared to some recent Surface commercials, which I've seen surfacing, no pun intended, you will notice that Apple does not bash the competition at all. In fact, Apple's purpose is not to say we're the best and you're the worst. It's to simply say, here we are, come get us if you want us. This is what we can do. They're not even trying to be flashy with how amazing they are. They're just simple, intuitive devices that work. iPods, iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, Apple TVs, and iMacs. They are all some of the most wonderful, intuitive devices that ever there were. And I can't help but feel like Apple is even going to improve even more. Now here's the meat of this video, and what I was originally planning to make this video about until I got really rambly was the accessibility features. VoiceOver, VoiceOver, VoiceOver. VoiceOver is significantly better than TalkBack in every way possible. TalkBack in Android 10 used to be called Voice Assistant, which is ridiculous because in all the older Android systems it was TalkBack, so I don't know why they changed it for Android 10, but I'm really glad it's called TalkBack again because honestly, I feel like it's a more humorous name. But that's a little bit of the problem, is that it is a humorous name. As much as Voice Assistant kind of sounds like a GLaDOS-style murderous AI, at least you know that it is going to be a professional system that works. But with a name like TalkBack, you kind of feel like you're getting exactly what I'm about to describe. See, TalkBack has an issue. And it's one that a lot of Android users, I'm sure, notice, and it's one of the biggest reasons that Apple is #1 for visually impaired support. TalkBack has a lot of trouble with the best thing I'm going to call is its aim is awful. And what I mean is, like, I can touch specifically on a piece of text on a website, but I have to be, like, 100% pinpoint freaking accurate for TalkBack to even realize that I'm trying to get it to read something. Even if the paragraph is, like, this big, I have to point, like, right here. Otherwise, it's not going to understand what I'm trying to read, and it's a real pain in the butt. With VoiceOver, you can pretty much point anywhere, and it will tell you either if something is there or if something isn't there. Its noises aren't overly flashy like TalkBack's are now. VoiceOver's noises are simply just there to keep you on track as to where you are. To be very honest with you, I used to be a little annoyed with the VoiceOver gesture of having to swipe with 3 fingers to scroll, and the fact that it would go from, like, one page to, oh, all of a sudden the next page, why does this look so different? That was before I realized I could long press with a double tap and long press, and just drag it up to however large I wanted to see it. And you don't have to scroll super slowly with this either. I can actually scroll as fast as I can without VoiceOver on, and it will work just as well as long as I double tap and I long press first. That's another thing. TalkBack does have single tap selection, and VoiceOver has double tap selection. And one of the things that I was a little initially worried that I was going to be annoyed with my first iPad was the fact that this was so different than what I was used to, because I was used to just being able to tap once, and I thought I would find double tapping with VoiceOver really annoying. But that was before TalkBack actually got extremely buggy. Look, TalkBack did this weird thing where if you wanted to go back and you wanted it to read something, if you were in an app, for example, and you hit the back button and then you ended up in your app list, and I'm talking about personal experience because it literally just happened today. I was trying to organize some of my apps, and I accidentally opened an app, and I went back to get out of it, and I found myself back in the all apps screen, but TalkBack automatically put its cursor on an app. I did, of course, realize it, but I didn't have time to react. So I found myself clicking on said app to get TalkBack to read it to me, and thus opening the app. VoiceOver does not automatically place its cursor anywhere unless you tell it to. There are some times where it does, but other than that, VoiceOver leaves your screen completely clear for you to control exactly where you place that cursor and exactly what it's reading to you, and it will only open something when you double tap. And honestly, I could not live without it now. Because there are often times I want VoiceOver to read me something again. And it's really not the handiest in TalkBack where you have to place your finger somewhere else to start having it read something else before you go back and have it read the other thing you're trying to read. It's really freaking annoying. With VoiceOver, you can literally just go, press. Oh wait, I didn't hear that. Let me read it again. Press. Very, very easy to do. Now, as far as magnification gestures, I'm going to be 100% honest. Even after my 2 years of being in Apple, I still think that the Android magnification gestures are a little easier to work with. On Android, all you need to do is simply triple tap with one finger and then scroll with 2 fingers around the screen to see what you're zoomed into. On Apple, you double tap with 3 fingers and then scroll with said 3 fingers to see around. To be honest, having to place that many fingers, especially on my iPod, which is so small, is very annoying to me. In fact, oftentimes I have to scroll really slowly because if I scroll too fast, I'm going to end up shooting myself across the screen like an ice skater. I do wonder if there are magnification inertia settings that I can fix with that, and to be very honest, I haven't honestly checked into that, but it is a little annoying. However, I will gladly take a little bit of a more difficult magnification interface to have the ability of an actually accurate dictation, because sometimes Google Voice input sucks, although I have to say it has gotten better over the years when it works, because for some reason it's been buggy with me too, especially with entering YouTube video titles. You watch, it's going to be buggy now that I said it in the title of this video. But look, my point is that if you want better dictation, a much better screen reader, and the ability to zoom in with like pinpoint accuracy, especially on a bigger device like an iPad, Apple is honestly your way to go as far as visual impairment goes. It is really super accessible, and I'm pretty sure they require almost all of their apps to be accessible for VoiceOver now. And even if they aren't, the newer Apple devices, meaning I believe 2020 or later, received a feature with iOS 15 that allows you to take a screenshot of something, open it in Photos, not Markup. It won't work in Markup, it has to be in Photos. Open that screenshot in Photos, and guess what? VoiceOver will read whatever text is in that screenshot, so even if an app is inaccessible, VoiceOver will try and identify an icon. You can even copy and paste text directly and then place it wherever you want to. This app essentially puts the things like the Orcam, which is a device I've had for about 1.5 years and I intend to review, but since it was bought for me by my family, I need to wait until they move out because that was an entire waste of money that I'm going to go into. I really need to warn people about that device, but just no. It's going to put things like that and the app Seeing AI completely out of business. And it works. Everything with VoiceOver and Apple and that entire ecosystem works. And I feel like when something works like that, it really just is an absolute game changer. It is. It's an absolute game changer. When something just works and you don't have like hardly any problems with it, it works. Now, do I have any issues with Apple or anything? I do wish that Apple could somehow allow support for dual usage. Seriously, they need to end this War for Cybertron style Apple versus Android thing. Apple just needs to take over the world by this point. I feel like Apple's magnification gestures could be improved just a little bit so that you don't have to use as many fingers, especially on a smaller device like an iPhone or, Primus forbid, an iPod. And I feel like maybe dictation could be improved just a little bit more, but other than that, I don't have any qualms with Apple. In fact, I believe that they are honestly the superior device to an Android device. I love my phone. I'm going to continue to use it until it goes oof, primarily because my family really can't afford an iPhone for me right now. And besides, this one is perfectly fine and I'm extremely sentimental. And besides, who doesn't like the Oraglow finish on the Samsung Note 10 Plus? Wait, apparently a lot of people because they discontinued it, like, right away. Sad. It's almost like Product Red. That's on fewer devices nowadays. Which is also really sad because Product Red supported a really good cause. Product Red donated for... Oh no, I don't remember. I think it was some type of cancer. RKO, help me out here. Excuse me. I've been trying to get through this entire video without coughing because my mouth is super dry. But my point is, if you're going to go with any device that's just going to work the way you want it to, my biggest suggestion is to go Apple all the way because it will just work. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you all have had a wonderful day. I hope this video has helped you in some way, and I will catch you all in the next one. This has been my 2 years of Apple. Rest in peace, sweet Jobs, Steve Jobs, and happy almost 7th anniversary of my YouTube channel because I launched it tomorrow 7 years ago. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to program yourself to desire your own image, and if speaking the truth is deception, then we are gladly guilty. Till all are one, y'all. Goodbye.